And we are live with Coach Kösling from the Frankfurt area with the Frankfurt Universe from the start as a player, been coaching with the team for the past 4 years, going into his 5th year as a defensive coordinator. Coach Kösling, thanks for being on the show.
Hey, Will, how you doing? Appreciate for having me.
Of course, man. Of course. A lot going on with the Universe. You know, you guys have been knocking at the door for several years, a first-class organization. What's going on in Frankfurt right now?
I mean, we're right now in the process of the offseason. I mean, I think everybody knows now. Yesterday it came out that that our head coach left, so the team decided not to re-sign his contract. So of course now it's a little bit more talking about what's going on and looking for a head coach and whatever, and of course starting the recruiting process for the next year. I mean, in general, it's pretty good feeling around here because the season was a success for us. I think we did a good job, a lot better than the last year. So we progressed in the right way. So there's a good feeling around beside the fact of the head coach, but that's another topic.
Yeah, well, and talk about the head coach. I mean, is the Universe just looking to kind of take the next step? You guys have been, like I said, knocking on the door for several years. You know, it seems like you have all the talent in the world. You know, so talk about that decision and where you want the program to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to say. Okay, I'm not so involved in this situation. I mean, I heard a little bit, but I don't know. The guys who are in charge of it, they decided they want to go a different way. So they decided to let him go. Whatever. I just can say he did a heck of a job. I mean, he was my first head coach when I've been here as a player. So he really was a big influence on my player's career and on my coaching career. So I mean, it's the business part of the thing. Okay, you just have to move on. You just can say thank you for everything he did for this franchise. And I think he's on top of the list when you talk about the success this franchise had in the past. And that's all I want to say now.
Sure. Well, and just to start, we got a couple of comments here. From Uy, we got Go Thomas Go, and then we got George Robin saying, "Let's go, Coach K." Shout out to you guys.
The purple fans and guys out there.
Purple Fan Nation. So, Coach, talk about how you even found American football in Germany, and how you progressed through the Universe organization.
The question is when I started to follow American football.
Yeah, how'd you find it in Germany?
To be honest, on my computer control, right, the Super Nintendo or whatever. That's the first thing I remember when I played American football. I was like 10 years old or whatever, and then from my childhood, I remember something popping over with Joe Montana, Steve Young. That's the first thing I remember with the 49ers and stuff. So I tried to follow it on TV, but if you don't have American TV, which was normally the military base or whatever, you could just see the results on the text. But then they had some school projects because the Hanau Hawks was a big team in the past year, and they around my corner where I'm living, and they started a school project with our school. So I had a 3-week thing going on, and there I learned about football, and it really I joined it. I mean, I loved it from the beginning. I played soccer like almost everybody did, and then it grew to, hey, find a club. Then I went to Hanau in the youth for 2 years. Then I played there 5 years, and then it goes on to get part of the Universe because I loved the idea that something got invented there from the fans of the original Frankfurt Galaxy.
Now, so talk about NFL Europe, and what was that like? What was the atmosphere around football in Germany during NFL Europe?
I mean, it was great. It was a big area here, and it was something. You had a lot of military bases and stuff, and there was a lot of going on. NFL Europe, I think, especially in Frankfurt. I mean, they installed something with the fan base that was crazy. That was uncommon. I mean, they had 40,000 or whatever fans. They went to the away games and whatever. There was a passion from fans who are not too into soccer. So they found something they loved and you know, and beyond that. So, and even in the German football teams, I think a lot of guys would agree it. They had in the first league, they had 10 to 15,000 people on games. Okay. So even the German football was big in the 90s and whatever. So it grew and grew and grew. But at one point, I don't know why it stopped when the NFL Europe said, hey, we don't want to have put money into this anymore. And so all of a sudden, I think the whole, I don't know, the fascination or whatever, it got a little bit had a downside of it. Okay. A lot of people lost the interest because it was not, again, communicate so good into the people. So they lost the joy of it.
Well, it's super frustrating because it seems like, although NFL Europe may on the surface not have appeared to be successful, but it was the perfect league to push players to the NFL, right? Now there's no league that actually pushes people to the NFL outside of the Canadian Football League in Canada. I mean, in the US, you have the arena leagues, but it's not really the same game. And I just feel like NFL Europe, for players, for coaches, for broadcasters, it was the perfect stepping stone for people to get to the NFL, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think it starts with school programs and whatever. I mean, American football was never be a part of school programs. So the people who growing up here, they didn't know American football. They still don't, because everything is about soccer here. And this is tough to beat. We don't have the same school system like in the States. So it's not, you don't have sport teams in universities. You don't have sport teams in normal schools, high school or whatever, where people get fans of, or they're saying, hey, we go to a game on a weekend. So we are not into this big identification with our school system. And that's another part of. So if you're not getting interested in an own way, like in computer games or like see it on TV, American football or even other sports, like baseball or whatever, it's tough to beat soccer because every kid who's come and plays soccer at the beginning, and that's basically it.
Yeah, well, even we're going to London this weekend to put on a camp combine coaches clinic, and I look at the UK and I just feel like the NFL is doing a very poor job of growing football at the youth level in Europe. I mean, that's really how you grow the sport, is by getting the youth, coaching the young kids so that they become fans and, eventually great football players. But, it seems like they're not doing anything at that level. And, with you, what are you guys doing in Frankfurt to try to get the youth players on board?
I mean, again, it's all about, in my opinion, the school programs. You have to go to the schools. You have to work out with schools some plans that you are there on a regular basis, and have some classes maybe once a week for 2 or 3 hours where you can regularly, year to year, have kids getting interested in. And of course, when you talk about it, more guys get interested in, and then maybe it getting bigger and bigger. But the school program is a key, in my opinion, to build a good youth. And then, of course, have a good youth team, have some coaches and stuff like that. This is a key for growing football even more, because I think the kids nowadays, they are more open than any other generation, because even soccer is the biggest thing here. It's getting too much here, and everybody is open to new stuff. You see a lot of other sports getting more interest in even the NFL now because of the free TV and whatever. So I think now is another big shot to get football more popular and get little kids interested in it. And when you grew up with this, when you're 5, 6 or 7, and then you join it later when you're 14, 15, 16, and this goes on and on to generations. So now it's a big point for American football to make some steps in the right direction in Europe.
Well, and I truly think that even from when I played in the GFL 3 years ago, every single year the level gets better. There's more fans. The professionalism of the league gets better. I mean, even look at GFL TV having highlights every week now. I mean, it's truly turning into a professional league, which is so exciting to see. And I mean, you guys are setting the standard for Europe. So Coach Kösling, now you're in recruiting season. What are you looking for in athletes? What do you look for in players that you want to come play for the Universe, to come try to win a championship in Frankfurt?
I mean, first of all, what you do, you evaluate your own roster, and you have to see where you have German talent, which fits very good in the GFL, and where you have talent, you say, hey, I want to coach this talent and I want to have him progressing. Then you have to see where you have your big holes, because we have the American rule here, the A rule, right, where you just can have like 6 Americans on the game day roster and 2 at the same time on the field. So you cannot bring like 15 Americans here over. So that's what you're evaluating when you're saying, hey, I need a DB. Then you're looking, of course, for DB. And the biggest things, what I learned in the last years, I do in the recruiting right now for 4 years, is, I mean, of course, look, if he played, and he have to play constantly. I mean, you need to have a starter or whatever, because when you're sitting on the bench, it doesn't say anything about how you react on game. And this is important. Then, of course, what I'm looking for, high character guys. I think Germany is a great country to live in, and we are open people and very international. It's different when you come from a different culture. In America, it's different here in Germany. The food is different. All the things are different. I mean, the stores are closed at Sundays and on holidays and whatever. Even the little things you're figuring out. So it's different to live in Germany. So you have to be ready for it. From a character standpoint, I look at team captains. I think it's a big honor in America when you be a team captain chosen by the team or by the coaches. That gives me a sense of, hey, this guy, he's a respected player. He gives everything to the team. And these are the little things I'm looking at to see, could this guy fit beside his athletic ability to fit in our program? Because the imports you get, they need to be role models. They need to be the leaders of the team, because everybody is looking at them. And even the players don't realize how much of an impact they have, but they are got looked to. When we have a tough game, the German players look to the Americans, hey, what we doing? And if you have a guy who's frustrated or too much on himself, that's not a good sign. You need really positive guys. You need team players, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more in regards to the imports. You know, the chemistry of the Americans themselves and the chemistry of the Americans with the German players, it has to be strong. If it's not strong, your team will not win championships. And we actually have a comment here that I don't even want to mess up the name, but he says, role models in what sense? You know, what does a role model mean for you in terms of the player?
I think it's one tough thing for the Americans to realize here. This is not a pro sport. Even we try to get to that level, but you have to accept the fact that a lot of German guys are working, that we don't do it here full time, and we don't earn a lot of money here, okay, to live on that. So the Americans, they realize very early, after 2 or 3 weeks, they are the best athletes on the team. And even it sounds weird for some guys, this is the case when they drop down their motivation. They just say, hey, I go to practice, I do my thing because I'm the best athlete. The coaches have count on me anyway. So the role model is really a perfect team player who pushes the team. Even some Germans come tired to practice. They should see the import who's running around, you know, doing everything full speed, even after a long day, even if you only have 2 practices a week, do everything you can 100% and show the Germans and the other guys how to play American football and not get into this lazy mode. Even that's maybe enough for you at this situation, but it's not enough for the team.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, you know, and after we traveled around for Moving the Chains, you know, for those watching, if you haven't watched the Frankfurt Universe episode of Moving the Chains, go check it out. It's on our Facebook page. It's excellent to kind of show everything that's going on in that city and with the Universe program. But, you know, I've seen imports that suck. I've seen imports who are lazy, who get complacent, and their teams aren't good because of it. You know, the teams in Europe, the teams in Germany are bringing over players to set the example, to lead, and to help coach. Coaching in the sense of leading by example, showing these guys how to practice, showing them how to train, showing them how to prepare. And when you don't have that, the team's going to suffer. So, yeah. And so Coach Kösling, so talk about, you know, what is the appeal of playing in Frankfurt? Obviously, I know what it is. But, you know, talk about all the awesome things that are going on with the Universe and why players should want to play in Frankfurt.
First of all, for me, it's important to tell that every player I'm recruiting, the first thing, it's very important that they have a great time here. They are like guests here, so we're going to treat them special. I like to treat them special. And whatever happens, I will take care of them. That's the first thing. I think Frankfurt as a city, with this great international base, and it's in the center of Germany, in the center of Europe, you have a feeling here. I think you can feel good in the city. You have a lot to do and stuff like that. So I think the life without football, and you know that this is sometimes the toughest part of being an import. You have so much free time and how you use it. I mean, you can go to the gym, but you're not 10 hours in the gym. Okay. And practices at the evening. You have some video meetings, but basically 7 hours free. So I think Frankfurt, allow you to have a good life beside football. Of course, the passion which is in the club, that is our biggest goal. You can see it from the fans with our attendance around 4,000 or 5,000. The fans are there on practice. They really let the players have a good feeling because they welcome them. They invite them to dinner or whatever. I know other teams do that too. But in Frankfurt, because the fans invented this club, because they lost something in their life, I think you can feel it either in this first league too. Okay, there are so many passionate people really looking to the players like really heroes, like pros. They bring the kids to practice and whatever and have them a good feeling. So the surroundings in Frankfurt and the passion is great. And then of course they come in here to be successful in sports, and we want to be successful. And I think you just have to look in our tradition. We get better and better each year. And when you see the last years, I mean, we've been in the GFL2 for some time, then we get up with a perfect season. The first year we get to the quarterfinals, okay, lost very unlucky against Kiel. The next year, this year, we were in the semifinal. We lost very close to the New York Alliance. And I mean, the next step is then go the next step, go to the South title, go to the German Bowl. And I think we showed in the past that we progress in the right way.
That is an understatement. Just so everyone knows, when I played in Germany in 2014, the Frankfurt Universe won the GFL2. I didn't know anything about the organization. And the next thing I know, in 2015, they're in GFL1, making a bunch of noise. 2016, they're in the quarterfinals. Now they're in the semifinals, almost taking down New Yorker. You guys have been making enormous strides over the past couple of years. And talk about the significance of that, because people see the sponsorship by Samsung and they're like, oh, they have a bunch of money. But the work that you guys have put in is really actually spectacular in the sense of when you guys had NFL Europe and it went away in 2008, 2009, everything was gone, right? So what was that struggle like? What was that struggle like, trying to pick back up the program and progress to where you are today?
I think you said a good point. I think in a lot of ways it comes short. The most guys said, yeah, you have a sponsor and so it's automatic that you play football successfully, but that's not right in any way, because football is not about money. Of course, good players helping, and we have a ton of good players, and I love to work with them. And of course, when you have a linebacker like Dustin Lechko who makes 140 tackles, it makes my job easier. But the work behind it, and from the beginning, like 2007, 2008, we had like 10 guys in the first practice, and you had so many rookies, and then to put the work in and day out and make them better, grow a program, get other people to realize, hey, here's something big going on. That's tougher than people say. Okay, and that was the reason why we had a setback in the third league, that we had some setbacks in the second league, because it's not about the money, or maybe you can pay one import more. It's about building a team philosophy, team chemistry, and moving in the same direction with continuity. And I think that's what we did in the past, and that's why our success is here, and I think in the future too then.
I completely agree. Well, and touch on the idea of, you can bring over the 6 Americans, 2 on the field at one time. How important are those German players? Are those European passports? I mean, those are really the X factor. When you look at the German Bowl titles, even the Schirbischall Unicorns right now, you look at their roster and all of a sudden they've got all dual passports, right? So touch on the importance of having a strong European core base of players.
The German players are the most important part in this team. They are, because they are. You can say they are the bread and butter. Without the Germans, it would not work. Okay, the Americans, the imports you put in, they are the what you say, the cream on the cake or whatever. They are the plus. Okay, but without good Germans who are ready to invest their private time to work 3 days a week, to go into meetings and whatever, this all would not work. So the biggest thing for every team, and I think Schwäbisch Hall is maybe the role model for this year, to build a great German foundation. And then, of course, when you have some holes, bring some imports in who just flourish them, who just make them better. But the key are the German players, and you have to have that foundation.
Yes, yeah, that there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And so, what does your off season look like right now? When do you guys get back to training? And what are the goals for 2018?
Of course, because of the news yesterday, now we have to look for a head coach, right? So everything I think will push back for 1 or 2 weeks. But normally we're gonna have an open practice, we call it, where we bring some interested players who are in this area and give them a shot to show their levels and their skills in front of our coaches. Last year was a big success. I think we found 5 or 6 guys we would never know without that practice, and they played GFL1 and they've been started from here to here. So that's a big thing. And then of course we're gonna do some winter meetings in a gym. We have an athletic trainer who's gonna train with the guys who are here in Frankfurt. In our case, it's a little different because we bring a lot of players from outside of Frankfurt, okay? And of course, then the practice starts in March with some training camps, and then of course in April when the other imports coming, then it will start, and then the season coming along. But in the winter, of course, we're doing some things, but the real kickoff meeting gonna be the open practice then, and then of course in March when everybody is coming with helmet and pads.
Excellent. And we got a few more comments here. Chris Haas says, best D coach in Europe.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. And then we got David Rogers. Maybe it isn't Thomas Kösling, it's Dan Quinn, DC in the NFL. I like it. Shout out, David. Now talking about, yourself as a coach, talk about why you want to be a coach of American football in Europe. Why, what is the satisfaction you get? Because I know you're not making $1 million. American football isn't the most popular sport. So why do you invest so much time? I mean, you dedicated your life to this sport. Touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. I think you feel if you can be a coach really early when you're a player. I mean, there are players, they just play their positions and that's enough and that's totally cool and they're just going with it. But I was always a player who questioned, hey, why this coverage or whatever. Then I played linebacker. I think that helps too because you fit into the run game. You have to be in the passing game. So I got a lot of information from my former coach, and I was always interested in this tactical part because this is all about football. I love that chess match. I love the puzzles. And when you realize this as a player, how great that can be when you have a coach who really schemes things about the opponent and then it works on the field, that's a great thing even for a player. So when I stopped playing, I was in a lucky position. One former coach called me and said, hey, I want you as a coach. And I was immediately say, man, I would love it just because it's in me. So I took that chance, and from year to year, it's such a great experience. Football, in my opinion, is the best sport in the world because it's so many different things you learn, and you have to lead guys, you have to take care of guys, you have to communicate with guys. And then of course the sports by himself, when you have to scheme, when you have to find the right place for an opponent, when you have to find out what the opponent want to do against you or what they did in the past. It's so many things you have to work on and you have to learn from day to day. It's just fascinating and I love it. And I mean, this is my passion, I can tell you.
Well, and I think you hit it on the head. First off, the best sport in the world in regards to the leadership and just the life lessons that the sport of American football teaches young athletes to work really hard, to stay dedicated, to persist, and to stay persistent through hard times. And most importantly, to work as a team. In the sport of American football, you have 11 guys on the field, and if one of those pieces is off, it's not going to work like you need it to. And along those lines, I think that American football, of all sports, coaching is the most important piece because there's so much strategy involved. For you, you're leading up to a game, putting in 40 hours a week, just prepping against what the other team is going to do on the field. And that's really powerful in my opinion.
Yeah, you have so much influence on your players and you don't realize it. Coach Grant always, players are a mirror of yourself. And at the beginning of my coaching career, I was like, okay, I would see about that, but that's so true. You can see during the season, at the end of the season, the things you set a point on, the things that are important for you, and you pressure them and you're pressing them to the team. They will respond to it. They would act like you at the end of the season, and you have so much influence as a coach. And again, the players are a result of you as a coach, and that is an enormous responsible. That's enormous. What is the word? Whatever.
Responsibility, yeah.
Responsibility, thank you. And you have to, that's so great. And coaching, I tell you, I love to play, but now getting into coaching and get the opportunity to coach at this level in Europe, it's so much more fun because so many things come into coaching. And like you said, even treat players right in the human aspects and whatever, and show them how to do some things right, even off the field. And this is all about coaching. And this is something, when you take on that, it's a great thing, and maybe the best thing you can have in sports.
Totally. Now, Coach, you're from Frankfurt, German-born coach. You know, that's not a super common thing, especially in the GFL 1, to be leading the defense as a German-born citizen. Now, what is your advice to other German-born coaches, to European-born coaches, as far as pursuing American football coaching as a career?
It's first of all, it's tough. I always see first the different things besides sports. I have to say, I'm a police officer beside my time being coach. Okay, so I'm here really set with my thing, and you have to have a stable foundation of your life to do it, and you have to have time, of course, because you cannot coach if you don't have the time to it. You have to invest so much time into coaching, and your family or whatever have to support you with this. If you cannot do it, it's tough because the sport is so complex. But I think we have a big advantage here as European coaches going to Europe and whatever. We know the culture here. We know the guys, we know the language. And I don't think we need to be shy in front of American coaches, because you can learn everything. From year to year, you learn from every experience. You just need to be a little bit more confident in yourself, and just when you have the passion to coach, when you love it, then do it, and try to find a team, try to find a youth team or whatever, get the first steps back in, get a position coach, and go to conventions. I mean, the London thing, what you guys doing is great with these coaches. I read the headlines. I was thinking about coming there. I have to check it if I can do. But like I said, I can just suggest everybody who has a passion to love to coach football, just do it and try to be the best coach you can be, and try to find a team which has an open position.
Awesome. I love it. The passion is there, Coach Kösling. I'm a big fan of you. I'm a big fan of the Universe. Thank you so much for being on today. I wish you the best of luck in your coach search and your recruiting for the offseason. And I'm excited to see what the Universe do in 2018, my friend.
Thanks for having me. It was a great time, always.
Thanks, Coach. You take care, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.